ladies and gents, welcome to another Thompsin and Other Disappointments. Your twice, sometimes thrice weekly delve into all things politics, news, and dystopia. I'm your host, Thompsin, and before we get started, you can see me live in, like 3.5 weeks? It's quite exciting. That's at the book club in Shoreditch in London. You can grab tickets to that, or indeed to the Riot Society thing that I'm doing with Supertansky and Danny fucking Price. You can do that via the link in the description below. Right, guys, let's get straight into this, shall we? The Concrete Gate thing is obviously the major political news story at the moment. It's huge. And I don't know how much you know about it, but like I've already done 2 punk politics videos about it on YouTube. So if you want to hear me ranting and roasting about concrete and about schools and government ineptitude, maybe go and have a quick look at that. I'll pop a link to that in the description as well. But also Trump is in the news again. Maybe we'll get onto that in a minute. I feel like I talk about Trump quite a bit at the moment. I want to delve into something else, if you'll just indulge me for but a moment. Because I was scanning down Sky News on my lunch break today, and there's a heat wave and how 30-degree heat is going to kill X number of old people, and then we get to the reclassification of nitrous oxide as a Class C drug now, which, I mean, that is utterly fucking ridiculous, obviously, isn't it? I will just say on that it is utterly fucking laughable that you would recategorize nitrous oxide. You know, this is a gas you inhale, makes you feel a little bit floaty. You know, we all know what it is. We all know that it's been used in dental surgeries and neonatal wards and like it's not morphine, you know? It's not some hard industrial painkiller that we're talking about that gets you, hooked on it and sucking off dealers for your next fix. It's not even in the same realm as that. It's a stupid, airy little thing that makes you feel a bit floaty for about 40 seconds. Like that. That's it. And then it immediately wears off. You can have 2 of them and then wait a minute and then drive. You'd be fine. I mean, don't test me. I'm not inciting that. I'm not saying definitely go and do that. I'm just saying to give you a gauge, to give you context of how serious this isn't. Nitrous oxide is very, very low down the list. You know? Like, the idea that you should need that to be a prohibited contraband seems utterly ludicrous to me. But, well, fuck it. Let's take a little look, shall we, at the government's line on this. They're banning nitrous oxide. It will now be a Class C drug. What have we got here? We've got Sky News. It says, nitrous oxide to be categorized as a Class C drug. Well, okay. Great. And then there's some stuff here about, how there was a Sky News investigation about it, and nitrous oxide will be outlawed by the end of the year and categorized as a Class C drug, the government says. The categorization of the substance, commonly referred to as laughing gas, pretty scary sounding stuff there, means users could face 2 years in prison and sellers up to 14 years. Oh my goodness. 2 years in prison. It says nitrous oxide is the second most commonly used drug among 16 to 24-year-olds in England after cannabis. The second most commonly used drug. Yeah, because it's fucking miserable now in England. It's no coincidence that over the 2 decades that things have got unparalleled shit for young people. It's the same 2 decades, and they're like, yeah, could you give me some more nitrous oxide, please? I can really use a little cheer up, a little pick me up over here. No, I don't know why these kids need cheering up all the time. Figure it out, please. It goes on. It says, Levelling Up Secretary Michael Gove announced in March that the gas would be banned under government plans to clamp down on antisocial behaviour. Fucking... How ridiculous. We're so through the looking glass of what could be construed as parody, aren't we? Antisocial behaviour. What is antisocial about laughing gas, you fucking morons? Like, laughing and smiling. Like, I honestly think conservatives are so irredeemably sociopathic that they see happiness and laughter as antisocial. You know, like it bothers them, you know? And secondly, how the fuck are you going to get Michael Gove out giving quotes about this? Michael Gove, party time Gove himself, talking about what is or is not antisocial behaviour and what requires banning. And like, we've all seen the footage of him having a rave at 2 a.m. up in Glasgow that time, haven't we? We've all seen the interview where he was on some Chuckle Brothers shit. You know? Like, calm down. Calm down. He was, do you remember that? The man has admitted on record to doing cocaine on several occasions. Michael Gove is a fucking punchline for satirical jokes about parliamentary coke snorting. How are you seriously going to put his name out and wheel him out onto the breakfast sofas and quote him in news articles? Like, well, if Michael Gove says it's a dangerous substance and I shouldn't ingest it, well, there's a guy who knows what he's talking about, and boy does he talk. He's still going over there in the kitchen, talking about a screenplay that he's writing. I was like, wait, do you want another line, Mickey? No, you're okay. All right, cool. Fucking Michael Gove, man. But of course, he's not the only one that's quoted in this article. This very, very serious article about laughing gas. Nitrous oxide being banned in the UK. It will now be a prohibited Class C substance / contraband. Oh, my goodness. Also quoted in the article, we have one half of the two Sues. Not Sunak. He's busy scoping out school building donors with no prior experience of building schools. No, we have the other Sue. The other one of the two Sues. We've got Suella Braverman here. And it says, in a statement, Home Secretary Suella Braverman said, the British people are fed up with yobs, abusing drugs in public spaces and leaving behind a disgraceful mess for others to clean up. Well, yeah. Yes, okay, fine. But that's why we have litter laws, Sue. You dappy bint. We have litter laws in place. Like, if I chuck a can of Coke on the grass in Hyde Park, I could be fined £150. Did you know that? It's about to go up to 500. Did you know that, Braverman? You fucking should do. It's your cabinet doing it. If I throw a mattress out in some woodland, you know, just throw it over there, I could be fined, I think it's £450 at the moment. That's about to go up to £1,000. £1,000 for flight. Does any of this sound familiar, Sue? I mean, you know, if we're outlawing nitrous oxide because yobs are leaving behind a disgraceful mess for others to clean up, if it's to do with the mess, that yobs are leaving behind, you'll be pleased to know you don't need to reclassify it. It's already illegal to drop shit. Yeah. I bet you feel silly, Sue. I'm not even fucking about. Like, if I throw a mattress in woodland, I can get fined. If I dump a load of sewage in the river, actually no. Wait. I think that's okay. You can do that, can't you? That's still legal. I think, guys, you might want to look into that one, Sue. That one is a bit of a problem. Take a look. Get back to me. Anyway, it goes on. It says, It says, earlier this year, the Prime Minister and I promised a zero-tolerance approach to antisocial behaviour, and that is what we are delivering. If you are caught using laughing gas as a drug, you could be hit with a hefty fine or face jail time. Like, imagine that shit. Imagine going to jail for laughing gas. You would be... Fuck the laughing gas. You would be laughed out of D-Wing or whatever. You know, imagine sitting there in your rehabilitation sessions. You know, you sat there with other felons or convicts or whatever, you know. There's this guy over here. He's like, yeah, I was convicted of racially aggravated assault, and my victim actually lost sight in one eye, and it was my third time, so I'm here for 5 years. Then the consultant would be like, well, that's frightening, David, but it's good that you're talking about it. And then they would pass like the cushion onto the next one, the next prisoner. They'd be like, yeah, I'm here on a 7 stretch for trying to murder my wife. I was stupid. I was jealous and angry and drinking whiskey for 3 days straight. I regret it, and I'm trying to work on my issues. And then the gentle voice, like counsellor again, would be like, again, yeah, no, that's concerning behaviour, Paul. That is, you know, just like David here. But you're in a trust circle here, and, you know, just thank you for being open with us, is what we all have to say to Paul here, isn't it? And then you're sat there. It's your turn now. They pass the cushion over to you. It's your turn to speak. You got butterflies in your tongue. You don't know what to say, but you give it a go. You go, yeah, I got caught doing laughing gas. And the whole room would be like, are you fucking joking? Is that it? You did a couple of NOS canisters and giggled a bit. Is that your crime? You know, they would be like, you'd be like, yeah, I mean, I was just fucking around with some friends in the park, and I did 3, and I thought we were all alone. Like, there was a guy over in the other part of the park, but it turned out that guy who was spraying racist graffiti, he was actually an undercover Met officer. Oh, just fuck off with your fucking PG-rated Disney crime. Like, why the fuck are you in here? Why? You'd be like, well, I have to be rehabilitated. You know, that's why I'm here. For what? For feeling happy for 40 seconds? Well, yeah, I guess so. Well, okay. How do you feel now? Happy? No, not especially. No. Well, there you go then. You're cured. Now fuck off. Like, wouldn't you be like, you know, there are real people here with real problems trying to open up and work on their issues, and you're fucking around like, you know, Alan Partridge with his Toblerone addiction, like in a circle of heroin addicts. Like, oh yeah, I'm a little bit addicted to chocolate. Like, are you fucking joking? We got real problems here. Yeah, they are criminalising laughing gas. I remember reading a while ago, Sunak was sort of geeing up the masses, I guess, for this. He was fluffing the curtain twitchers, is probably a better way of saying it, ahead of the latest anger wank he's delivering. Anyway, Sunak, he was saying this was a gateway drug. That nitrous oxide is a gateway drug. Like, does anyone actually believe that? Does anyone really believe? Is there any science to back up that? I would love to see even anecdotal evidence that suggests anyone has ever gone, like, sucked in the nitrous oxide, giggled a bit, and then gone, have you got any crack, though? You know, like, there's nobody that makes the leap from nitrous oxide to anything serious. There's just fucking not. So can we put that straight back in the box and move the fuck on? We are looking at making it a Class C prohibited substance because we actually think that it's a gateway drug. It's a ludicrous suggestion. as a means to why you want to criminalize something. Because it's like, there is an argument. I just want to be, clear and objective here as best I can be. There is an argument that kids who use, say, super skunk, if that's still a thing, or speed, or something, that they do go on to try other drugs. But where do you think they're getting those drugs? It's not from the local pharmacy, is it? It's not. They're not toddling into Boots. I go like, yeah, you got any coke? Can I have a couple of grams of coke? No! So if the concern is that using nitrous oxide or speed or whatever is going to serve as the opening chapter in a story about heavy narcotic use and dark addictions, like the worst thing you can do is criminalize. Because then when they go to a dealer to get their illegally sourced canisters or whatever, and maybe the dealer's all out of them because it's, second most popular fucking thing for young people because young people are so fucking depressed. But maybe the dealer's all out, sold out of all of that stuff. Then the dealer is going to be like, I've got no NOS. I've got no nitrous oxide. But, I've got this other shit if you want it. And maybe a small percentage of those kids are going to say yes. That is the gateway. By criminalising it. It's a gateway to more extreme drugs and antisocial behaviour. And drugs ruin lives. Well, they don't seem to have held Michael Gove back, do they? Fucking cabinet roll, ministerial car, grace and favour home, articles, constantly on the TV. Rack me up a line of Michael Gove, please. I would like to feel successful. So yeah, nitrous oxide is going to be criminalised. What else is in the news at the moment, guys? I did mention that I would get onto some Trump developments. He's one of my favourite subjects to talk about at the moment because I honestly feel like in the same way that the O.J. Simpson trial was like the biggest fucking story ever. Every day, testimony. Every day, witnesses, new developments, jurors, the prosecutor, the defense, Johnny Cochran, every fucking day there was another thing exploding out of it. And this Trump trial, these Trump trials, plural, have all of the ingredients to be absolutely the same, if not bigger. It's such a huge story. And so, what is going on with Donald Trump? So in Trump news, I just saw earlier this evening that the Supreme Court in the US is going to decide pretty soon whether Donald Trump is legally able to run for the presidency again. Like, that is a big fucking thing. That is a huge deal. The Supreme Court are going to decide whether he can or cannot even enter the race to become the next president. And I've talked a lot about how nutty America has become. Yeah, I mean, it's always been pretty crazy. But like, I've talked a lot recently, like the likelihood that they'll slide into, terror cells and assassinations soon. And I honestly think that's where it, I was about to say, I honestly think that's where it's headed. But just please, whilst we're on this, please remember that I said that, that I predicted that. Because honestly, this podcast and YouTube game is hard, man. So I'm going to say it now. It's where are we now? The 5th of September, 20 past 8 in the evening. And I've been saying it since at least March or April. So, I actually think I've been saying it longer even than that. But I'll take spring, March or April. And I predict it now. And I have been predicting it for the last weeks and months. But if it happens that there is terror cells, that there is political violence, huge division, and people get killed, I mean, obviously, it will be bad for however many die in the great redneck revolution of 2024, where they pack vans with explosives and murder suicide through an FBI building like they're fucking, Sunni and Shiites in a market stall in Baghdad or some shit. Obviously that would be sad. But I think we can all agree that a small silver lining might be that the prediction of such atrocities, such political violence, which is definitely going to happen, by the way, the silver lining is that it might just push my content over the edge and I might fuck around and become half successful. I might become Michael Gove successful with that sort of prediction. I mean, why does it have to be a 100% sad story if there's American political unrest? Anyway, so Trump is obviously hoping to be the Republican candidate, and he's miles in the lead right now. His closest rival remains Ron DeSantis, and the gap between them is twice that enjoyed by Labour at the moment. So all that talk of Labour basically having the next general election here in the palm of their hand, double that, and you've got the stern, strong, and hugely ignorant support that Donald Trump currently enjoys. Make of that what you will. And so there's this idea, this legal entanglement amongst his many other legal entanglements, that Trump is actually legally barred from running for president again because he's allegedly incited an insurrection. And apparently there's something in the 14th or something amendment that says specifically, like, if you launch an attack or an insurrection, that maybe you don't get to try and be president again. Now, they're smart guys, these amenders, these forefathers, or whoever the fuck wrote it all. I don't know. I'm not a political researcher. Or certainly not a well-funded one. I guess the idea is, like, if you're the kind of guy that launches authoritarian assaults on this, you know, free land utopia that we call America, well, then who knows what kind of crazy shit you might get up to if you actually found your way into the Oval Office. That is the idea of this 14th Amendment shit. And so here is this case, and it's now at the Supreme Court level, and they are going to rule on that. In fact, I actually have the exact wording of it. Here, guys. See what you make of it. It says, the measure bars someone from holding federal office if they have, quote, previously taken an oath to support the Constitution and subsequently engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same. Right? So just take that in for a minute. The measure bars someone from holding office if they have previously taken an oath. If they've promised to support the Constitution and then afterwards engaged in insurrection against the United States. Like, that's where the problem is. If you've promised, if you pinky promised, and then you went on to do the bad thing, well, you know, it's not so much about the bad thing, it's the fact that you lied. That's the real... Like, I think it's great. I think it's amazing. I think it's, you know, it's cool that you're only disqualified from office in the United States if you've previously taken an oath like that, you know? Like, if you didn't swear the oath and then you went on to try insurrecting, left 6 people dead, idiots taking over Congress, threatening to hang Mike Pence in the street. If you didn't swear the oath, though, then you're fine. Then you can run for president. And if anyone asks you about it, you could just say, well, I mean, I never said I wouldn't. I never said I wasn't going to insurrect this free and fair land. That I don't remember ever promising that. So that's great. That's wonderful. Go America. Now, slightly further down this, it says, other scholars have been more skeptical of a disqualification claim, questioning whether Trump's conduct actually amounted to insurrection. I'm sorry. What? What are you saying? It sounds like words, but you're making absolutely zero sense. Other scholars have been more skeptical of a disqualification claim, questioning whether Trump's conduct actually amounted to insurrection. Like, I love the ambiguity. I love the playing dumb. I really do. The guy's out there giving a speech to his fans, you know, on January the 6th, like, you don't concede. We will never concede. You gotta fight like hell. While his armies of lunatics are climbing the walls and taking selfies in Pelosi's office. And he's like, yeah, keep going. Keep going. You gotta fight like hell. And there's legit people out there going, I mean, I don't know if that amounts to an insurrection, though. Like, I don't know if technically that, it's just baffling, isn't it? I don't know if technically that's fully an insurrection. It's the sort of person that cheats on his wife and then goes, but it's not cheating really, though. Is it? Like, if you're the sort of person who says, it's not cheating really, though, then you cheated. You did. Just fucking say it that you did. Like, don't try and wriggle out of it on a technicality. Because I'll tell you what you do by doing that, right? When you say, yeah, but it's not cheating, though, really. It's like, now everyone's thinking, okay, he's a cheater, and he's the sort of person that tries to wriggle out and gaslight and, talk his way out of it. It's like, now you're doubling up. It's not good. You're multiplying your problems and shit personality by a factor of 100. It's kind of like in a sort of similar way, a slightly warped way, I guess. Isn't that similar? I don't know. I'll just say it anyway. I have a similar motto with my girlfriend. She is the mother of my children, and I love her to the ends of the earth, just like I do my kids. We're a nice little unit. I love my girlfriend, who is the mother of my children. Now, I do most of the parenting. I just do. I do bath, bed, school runs, nursery. I make their lunches. I do them dinners, and I get fucked off with it. But it's fine. I just take it. Because the only thing worse than being knackered from 13 hours of looking after my children with piss all over me and feeling like I never get a day off is feeling all of that and having an arguing, angry girlfriend. Like, when you try and make your case, you go like, look, I'm not really... Suddenly you're in an argument about it, about who does more and all that shit. And then it's like, oh, great. Now I'm fucking exhausted and I've got piss all over me and I've got an angry woman shouting at me. Amazing. Great job, mate. Like, don't double up is what I think I'm saying here. Just, be who you are. And in this case, who Donald Trump is an insurrector. Or something. Whatever that word is, that is, in my opinion, what he is. But others disagree. They say other scholars have been more skeptical, questioning whether Trump's conduct actually amounted to an insurrection. Scholars have been more skeptical. Scholars of fucking what? Leisure management. Fucking hairdressing. Just like lean my head back and get my hair washed before I get a trim or something. Like, you know what though? You know what? I don't think it was an insurrection. I don't think it was an assault on democracy. Well, that's great, Tina. Thank you. But I think I like these trims better when you asked if I had any holidays booked. That was sufficient. This is getting weird now. Yeah, fucking America, man. Like, I don't envy any of the judges ruling on that. Like, imagine that shit. Having to decide whether someone as insane as Donald Trump gets to run for president again. Like the US Supreme Court. So high profile. Fuck that. They're like quasi-fucked, by the way. Like, they cannot win, whatever the verdict. And the stakes are so high. So high. The political temperature is so high. Like, if they ban Trump from running, they risk lighting that kindling. don't they? Like, the MAGA nuts will go batshit. They really will. Like, you saw how mad they got when he was running, but it just didn't kind of, like, go to plan, you know? When it didn't just kind of go his way, like how mad he went and how crazy all of his supporters went. When he was just there going like, yeah, I don't like how this election is turning out. You know, that was it. Imagine how violently mad and terror-cell they're going to get when he's completely prohibited from even entering the race. Like, at the moment, he supposedly thinks the 2020 results were stolen or hooky or whatever. And it sent him certifiably insane, making indictable calls to Georgian governors and sharing memes where he's Jesus and shit. Like, he's insane. He's legitimately insane. And that was just when it didn't go to plan for it. Like, what is he going to be like when they rule against him? Like, it's not going to make him saner. Is it? I've never heard of a narcissistic sociopath who had someone destroy their goals and then they went, yeah, well, you know, it's probably for the best, you know? I don't know if you've ever heard this before, like, but sociopaths escalate rather than, you know, wind down and dilute their aspirations, you know? So yeah, Trump will probably escalate if they rule against him. But I should probably mention at this stage, there is a 6-3 balance of conservatives to liberals. So 6 conservatives to 3 liberals in the US Supreme Court. So it feels more probable that they'll kind of stick with him, to me. They have more in common with him politically, ideologically, and he's appointed 3 of them like himself. Out of those 6, he put 3 of them there. So maybe there's some loyalty there, maybe there's some political alignment. So I think they'll stick with him. I think the verdict will go in his favour. But I mean, like, partly out of the fact that, you know, Trump's a conservative, so, you know, tribally, maybe they would warm to him. Maybe they would rather that he runs and then they don't have a Democrat president out of it. Maybe there's, you know, there is that element to it. But also partly because maybe, you know, politically, and some would say compassionately, and hear me out on this, they might make the calculation that it's better to let him run and let the electorate decide rather than have their verdict become some sort of Franz Ferdinand moment, you know, and be the catalyst for some sort of American civil war or domestic unrest, you know? So they might just go, yeah, you know what? I can live with letting him run, because the alternative might be that someone drives a fucking van into the DNC and detonates a shit ton of explosives and hundreds die. I don't want that on my conscience, you know? They might make that calculation. Or probably, you know, come to think of it, probably more reasonably, I think they might have looked at somebody like Judge Esther Salas. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with her story, but fuck me. Here you had a federal judge who was overseeing a case against Deutsche Bank, International Investment Bank. And she was basically suing them. Wealth management as well. They also do wealth management. But she was sort of representing or prosecuting on behalf of a load of people, like, against Deutsche Bank. She was suing them for not distancing themselves from high-risk individuals. Like, the idea was basically this. It was like, why were you facilitating these individuals when you knew they were gross? You knew they were dodgy, but you allowed them to financially operate anyway, so you kind of facilitated their crimes. So we're going to sue you. And through the process of discovery and all that, all of this shit is going to come out. And then this fake fancy dress delivery driver rocks up to her family home, rings the doorbell, and murders her son. Like, this is a true story. This happened about 2 years ago. Her 20-year-old son got shot the fuck up dead. And the husband got seriously wounded. And everyone's like, oh, well, you know, who is this guy? Who was he? Why did he turn up at a thing? Like, and he was like, here's the weird thing is the Deutsche Bank like case that she was representing. One of the high risk individuals that they shouldn't have been facilitating was Jeffrey Epstein. So he was named in this suit. And so there was this idea, you know, it was like, how is he connected to Epstein? This guy who hired him? Like the whole thing sounded like a hit, didn't it? You know, guy turns up in a, you know, make-believe uniform with a rented truck that looks like FedEx or something. So everyone's like, who is he? Like, let's look into it. Who is? And anyway, it turns out, oh wait, no, yeah, he killed himself. He's committed suicide, apparently. Well, how fucking convenient. The guy who is ostensibly sending a message to this judge, like, hey, back the fuck off. Like, don't do this. Deutsche, Epstein, all of the, you know, the guy that then sends him, he's then found dead with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Like, this is like Jack Ruby and Lee Harvey Oswald all over again. He says, repositioning his tinfoil hat. I mean, like, I don't know if it was definitely a hit job, but the official ruling was that this guy was an internet weirdo. Now, I don't know, like, let me just put this out here right now. Like, I don't fucking judge the rest of us internet weirdos for what this bellend did, okay? Like, don't let him tar our good name. We internet weirdos. We're a special community. Nay, minority. We're not all like that guy. Hashtag not all internet weirdos. We're like, most of us are harmless. But yeah, that was the thing. Like, apparently he was a sort of, you know, anti-feminist, violent guy on the internet a lot. But yeah, I don't know. It just seemed to me like if you were an internet misogynist incel sort of guy, which is what they were saying he was, I just don't think you would go to the trouble of murdering her son. You know, I think you'd stalk her, maybe, if you had some sort of issue with her. I think it's possible, maybe, if you're deranged enough, you might attack her if you hate her and hate women enough. That, I mean, we all know, like, we've seen horrible stories like that come out every other week. So that feels like it could have happened. But I just don't think you would rent a delivery driver costume, you know, and a delivery driver man and then murder her kid. Like, it doesn't fit to me. And, like, how did he find out where she lived? Like, isn't that protected information for a federal judge, I would have thought? It just feels like for an internet weirdo to attain that information feels unlikely. And then for him to break form and depart the incelly norms, you know, and, you know, instead rent a costume and rent this van and attack her relative and not her. That feels like another layer of unlikely. And then you have the Epstein and big bank high finance connection where I could totally see a hit job coming out of. Like, I don't know, like, is it just me? Or does that shit stink to high heaven? Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, right, yes, Trump, the Supreme Court. So yeah, if not out of fear for what might happen to the United States if they ban him, you know, with the civil unrest, the terror cells, I think they might find in Trump's favor for fear that they or their close relatives might be targeted. And look, that is not outrageous to think, I don't think. When you consider that it was, what, like only a month ago, was it? I was talking about Trump's lawyers and Newsmax. Like, there was some sort of connection there, wasn't there? I can't remember what episode of this or Punk Politics I talked about it on, but like there was some sort of weird behavior going on where Trump's lawyers, they were the only people to have the Florida search warrant slips, right, from Mar-a-Lago, where it had the FBI agents' names on it. And somehow these slips with their actual names on miraculously ended up broadcast on Newsmax or something like. And these poor FBI agents got doxed the fuck out by MAGA nuts. There's death threats and so on. So the idea that judges wouldn't get the same, if not worse treatment, in a country where there's already been what, you know, I'm pretty convinced was a hit job on that other judge's son. Like, in a country where the personal names and addresses of FBI agents have been leaked and they get death threats, I could totally see the Supreme Court judges getting that sort of, you know, reaction too. So perhaps not unreasonably, they might find in his favour kind of on that basis, like self-preservation. So we've had, you know, what will happen if they find against him, kind of unrest, terror cells, maybe civil war. We know what will happen if they vote for him out of fear. You know, then he goes on into the election. And, like, then if they allow him to run and he loses, he's going to kick off maybe another insurrection. And if he wins, then that's probably the end of American democracy as we know it, people. Christ, it's all so fucking depressing, isn't it? Maybe I'll just fuck off and do some nitrous oxide for a little bit. Guys, that's it. That's it for this one. I got to get inside, check on the kids. If you are enjoying the podcast, please do consider jumping on the Patreon. It's patreon.com/Aid Thompson with an IN. Special shout outs to my Patreon backers now on my God tier and my certified Aid Thompsoner tier. To Bowman, Kai, Christy, David Voice, Martin Maracas, Mojo Sabian, Peter Del Monte, Pingu, Silent, Stuart, T-Rex, Aaron, Alex, Jeff, Ned, and Simon. Thank you so much, guys, for your continued support. I'm looking forward to meeting as many of you as I can at the gig on the 28th of September. That's at the book club in Shoreditch. If you can't get to that, I would strongly encourage you to grab yourself a ticket to the Riot Society show. That's me, Super Tansky, and Danny fucking Price. That's on Friday, the 10th of November. Until next time, I'm out this motherfucker. Take care of yourselves and keep it strictly #Booge and strictly #Binfluencer.